All right, welcome to my channel. I got a couple of Star Trek novels here to review. So both of these are by A.C. Crispin. This is Star Trek number 11, Yesterday's Sun. This is a book club edition. It's hardcover, as you can see. Not a very long novel, about 140 pages here. But this has the distinction of being the very first Star Trek novel that reached the New York Times bestseller list. Got a cover painting here by Boris Vallejo, course, who is very famous for doing like Conan the Barbarian covers. Um, did the Death Stalker, amongst other things. I think he did like artwork for like Heavy Metal magazine and whatnot. But this is a sequel book. What I mean by a sequel is it's a sequel to an episode of the original series. So the episode that it's a sequel to is from season number 3. It was an episode titled All Our Yesterdays. I will read the entry for All Our Yesterdays from the Star Trek Encyclopedia, the original version from 1994. All right, All Our Yesterdays, original series, episode number 78, written by John Lisette Aroste, Aroeste. I don't know how you say that. Directed by Marvin Chomsky. Stardate 5943.7. First aired in 1969. Spock and McCoy are trapped in a planet's distant past where Spock finds love with an exiled woman. That's it. That's the entry. So the woman's name is Zerabath. So the entry here in the encyclopedia, right? There you go. Zerabath is played by Mariette Hartley. She's a citizen from the planet Sarpedon who was banished after two of her family conspired to kill planetary leader Zor Khan. Zerabath was sent 5,000 years into her planet's past, into a brutal ice age, where she lived in total isolation. Her loneliness was broken only briefly when Spock and McCoy were accidentally sent into Sarpedon's past by the Edavacron before returning to their present. There's more to the entry, but I have not reached this episode in my original series rewatch yet. But this is a sequel to that episode, and Spock finds out that he had a child with Zerabath. He sees like a archaeological expedition has gone to the planet, found some cave drawings, and he realizes they're like Vulcan cave drawings and surmises that he had a child with her. So he uses the Guardian of Forever, travel back to the past to rescue his son, Czar, and bring him back to the future, and then hijinks ensue. I'm not going to tell you what happens after that, but yeah, that's his interaction with this child. Um, it's interesting. Now, as far as Star Trek novels go, they are of varying quality. Some of them are very good. Some of them are terrible. I enjoyed this one for what it was. I don't think it's the best Star Trek novel that I've read, but I would recommend it if you are a Star Trek fan, especially if you are a fan of the character of Spock, because it's a decent novel. There is an audiobook version of this. I believe it is narrated by James Doohan and um, Leonard Nimoy. So if you want to hear, Scotty and Spock read this book as an audiobook, that option's available. Now there is a follow-up to this. This is a sequel book, which is titled Time for Yesterday. Again, we get another awesome cover painting by Boris Vallejo. And this time around, we have Spock in his monster maroon. So we are in the motion picture timeline here. This book is set 14 years after this book. So this book would take place like in year 5 of the 5-year mission. So Boris got the uniform wrong because he's got Spock wearing the movie uniforms here with the high collar. Spock should technically be in his blue science officer uniform from the original series because this is set like 2 years after All Our Yesterdays. But in this one, he's got it right. This book is taking place just before Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. So this is set after the motion picture and before Star Trek II. So this is taking place like in the movie timeline continuity. All right. So Spock goes back to interact with his son Czar again. Um, I'm not going to tell you what's going on in this because I don't want to spoil the book for you. But again, you can see it involves the Guardian of Forever because the Guardian's on the cover, right? Okay, so we met the Guardian of Forever in season 1 of Star Trek. That was the episode where Kirk goes back in time and falls in love with Edith Keeler. Remember Spock saying, "Jim, Edith Keeler must die." Well, here we go. Now, I don't know what to make of this. This is quite a bit longer than Yesterday's Sun. I do think Yesterday's Sun is a better novel, but that's just like my opinion. This is an interesting sequel, but AC Crispin kind of gives a lot of backstory, or I don't know, fills in kind of like she demystifies the Guardian of Forever. I'm not really a fan of that. I kind of like the Guardian of Forever not being explained. Like it's just sort of this anomaly that we don't know who built it or where it came from. But she does kind of like flush out and give an explanation for it in this novel, which maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. Um, I did enjoy the book. I just did not enjoy it as much as Yesterday's Sun, but I would recommend both of these. I do think that if you are a Star Trek fan, especially if you're a fan of the original series, that these are these are fun. They're not like they're not Shakespeare, you know. I mean, this isn't like reading Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. These are essentially just junk food novels for Star Trek fans. But I'm not gonna lie, I had a good time reading them, you know. But I guess that's all I got to say. So, getting they're out of print, so getting like physical copies of these might present a challenge. So I think they're available as like a what do you want to call it, an ebook. You can download them to your Kindle or whatever if you have one, or get the audiobook versions. I don't know if they're abridged or not, but like I said, they're read by Leonard Nimoy and James Doohan. So that's really all I got to say. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until next time, have a wonderful day.